we look at a key issue that happens with gradient descent, namely the zigzag behavior that it exhibits, which really slows down its performance. So if we draw a contour plot, so consider a function which has a contour plot which is very stretched out. So that would be a very skewed function, which means that it would be very steep along one of the axes and it would be very flat along the other axis. So what would happen is that if you start at a point something like this, so let's say this is your x1, then the gradient or negative gradient would actually not be pointing towards the optimum, but it would be pointing in the direction of steepest descent, right? So that direction could be something like this. So you might take the first step along this direction and you might end up somewhere here. So this could be your x2. Now again at x2 the negative gradient may now again not be pointing towards the optimum but pointing towards the steepest descent direction, which could be something like this. So this could be your x3, and continuing in the same way the gradient would actually progress towards the optimum in a zigzag way, right? So it would progress towards the optimum in a zigzag way, and this is really not optimal because you want to go to the optimum as fast as possible. You don't want to just go in a zigzag direction. So the reason for this is that minus gradient at any point x, it may not point towards x star, right? So this causes the gradient descent algorithm to converge slowly, especially in cases when the objective function is such that its contour plots are very skewed, very stretched out in one direction. So for example, let us consider, we can give a concrete example of this. Let us consider f of x as this function, x minus x naught transpose q x minus x naught. Now obviously we know that optimum is equal to x naught in this case, and q is some matrix, right? So this is a quadratic form. The gradient descent updates for this are given by xk plus 1 equal to xk minus eta k times q times xk minus x naught, right? So these are the gradient descent updates. For simplicity, let us say that eta k is equal to eta, some constant eta, right? And let's subtract x naught from both sides. So we obtain xk plus 1 minus x naught equal to xk minus x naught minus eta times q times xk minus x naught. So this can be written as I minus eta q times xk minus x naught. So now we have xk plus 1 minus x naught as I minus eta q times xk minus x naught. Now let's take L2 norm on both sides. So we obtain xk plus 1 minus x naught norm square, L2 norm square on both sides. So this is equal to norm of I minus eta q times xk minus x naught, right? And then let us apply Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. So we can basically write this product as less than equal to norm of the product of the norms. So this is less than equal to I minus eta q, and this is the matrix L2 norm or L2 2 norm times xk minus x naught square. So what we are getting here is that the distance from the optimum is less than equal to some factor times the earlier distance from the optimum at step k. Now this quantity, so generally we would require in gradient descent that this quantity, or we would basically choose our step size such that this quantity is strictly less than 1. So let us call it rho. So then we have an equation which is of the form, so let's call this as delta k plus 1, this as delta k, then we are having delta k plus 1 less than equal to rho times delta k. Right, so delta k plus 1 is some number and it is less than equal to rho times delta k, and in the same way this holds for all k. So in the same way this is less than equal to rho square times delta k minus 1, And in the same way, this is less than equal to rho cube times delta k minus 2. And you can continue all the way to, let's say, your initialization. So initialization was delta 1. So you would write delta 1 and basically rho raised to the power k. So rho raised to the power k times delta 1. So if you started at a certain distance, then the distance from the optimum or distance square from the optimum is decreasing exponentially, and the rate at which it is decreasing depends on rho. So that is what is happening generally with gradient descent. Now what happens in general is that rho depends on, so what does rho depend on? See, rho depends on I minus eta q, and therefore it depends on the eigenvalues of I minus eta q. Now if you choose your step size appropriately, it turns out that, so I'll not show this, but it turns out that it depends on lambda max of q divided by lambda min of q. In other words, rho is small when this quantity is also small, and rho is large when this quantity is large. As in, rho is very close to 1 when this quantity is large. So it depends on this. And if you remember, for a quadratic function, this was the L, because it was quadratic function was L smooth, and this was the mu parameter, and we called this as the condition number, right? So rho depends on the condition number, and it is natural to see here that if the condition number is large, so when lambda max of q by lambda min of q is large, then rho is very close to 1, which means that there's not much decrease. The rate of decrease is very slow. So this leads to slow convergence, right? So in general, in this example we have demonstrated, and it is actually possible to demonstrate generally also, that in general, whenever your condition number is large, which means the objective function is very skewed, its contour plots are very stretched out in one direction as compared to the other, then you have slower convergence because of this issue. So this leads us to the question, if there is a better direction in which we should go, if maybe steepest descent is not the best direction because it is very short-sighted. So that is actually possible if we use higher order information. So if you remember, we wrote the gradient descent using Taylor series expansion, right? If however, instead of Taylor series expansion, we do a second order expansion and write the same kind of update, we get the Newton method. So we get the Newton method, which provides a different direction, and in the Newton method the updates are given by xk plus 1 equal to xk minus eta times Hessian of f at xk inverse gradient of f at xk. So this is a different direction. This is not the negative gradient direction, it is actually multiplied by the Hessian inverse, and that really helps us with the convergence, and it really is able to correct the slow behavior of gradient descent to some extent, to a second order extent, right? And for instance, in the quadratic case, if you observe, if you say that x minus x naught transpose q x minus x naught, then it is easy to see that the Hessian here is q, and therefore the Newton descent update are given by xk plus 1 equal to xk minus eta times q inverse, and then gradient, which is q times x minus x naught. So this is equal to xk plus 1 equal to xk minus eta times xk minus x naught, right? So q vanishes entirely from the updates. This should be k. So q vanishes entirely from the updates, and in fact you can see that it becomes almost trivial. In fact, in quadratic case we never need to apply Newton method, obviously, because here the optimum is already known and Newton method gives you the optimum. So suppose here we choose eta equal to 1, then x2 would be equal to x1 minus x0, which would be equal to x0. So in one step you have convergence. So the Newton method converges in one step with eta equal to 1 for quadratic case. So really in quadratic case, Newton method is an overkill, but it is generally applicable. It is generally applicable to all sorts of cases where it is able to take care of the second order information in the function. So in general, we can say that in general, Newton method is much faster than gradient descent, right? It's much faster than gradient descent. However, there's a disadvantage here which you can clearly see. So what is the disadvantage? So what is the catch here? Hessian, you need to calculate Hessian inverse, right? And calculating the Hessian inverse is basically a difficult thing. So that is the catch. So if you have a n cross n Hessian, or if x belongs to Rn, then the complexity of calculating the Hessian inverse is order n cube, and this is not really, it could be very large, right? It could be too large. So there are scenarios, especially n is equal to very large, let's say 10 power 6, when you cannot apply Newton method. So Newton method is only applicable for small to moderate size problems. It is not applicable to large scale problems.